Welcome back to my channel, Classic Volkswagen Lovers. This is Junior with Classic VW Bug and Sunny the Super Beetle full restoration. So here's a little update on the engine. So as you can see, I have already installed the heads, some of the chrome trim I'm going to be using, the chrome pulley, the stand. Yesterday I finished installing gas pump, distributor, and on the other side here, so same thing, you know, engine tins, chrome, and my heads and my rockers. One thing I will share with you guys is that these thins, they're not so great, but it seems like they have some defects that may have to be corrected here on my end. So this one kind of like has a good fit where it's, you know, it's got a nice fit here and here, and well, the holes, they don't really necessarily align, so I'll have to work on that. But you know, I guess little minor stuff. And then here you can see where it's right butt up to the edge of the engine case, and here you got a big old gap. And then here, so you have a better alignment. Here you can see that right there we have a better alignment, and here, however, over here we don't have a nice butt up, you know, close to it. Now, I will share something else with you guys that it just took me into a situation where I was exhausted. It was late at night, and I just, you know, hit a wall. I was installing my rockers, and I bought these heads used from a friend of mine, and I pretty much, you know, cleaned them and, you know, and gave it some TLC. But then when I was installing them, after I torqued them, I went ahead to install my rocker arms, and I forgot one little detail. I didn't realize that these here came, I believe they call them elephant ears. It's like a little cap that goes on the end of the stem that supposedly is supposed to give you a better performance on your engine when you're, you know, when you're running it. So I totally forgot all about that, and when I went to install my rocker arms, I was not having enough clearance when I was setting these to 6,000. So I just went on and off, back and forth, trying to figure out what was the problem, and then I realized, well, I bought these used heads. I wonder if they're not OEM or if they're aftermarket. Well, anyway, whatever the reason is, I end up calling back my friend who's a master's mechanic, and you know, I said, listen, this is not the first engine I built, and I was asking him, what could it be wrong, you know? And I never, you know, it never occur to me that probably the combustion chamber geometry inside the head probably was the issue. And yes, based on my friend who's a master's mechanic, and he's been working, he actually owns the business for Volkswagens. He told me, so perhaps is because the geometry on this head here, it's different than the stock heads that you have, and that's why you're not getting enough clearance. So a thing that you can do is you can take your rocker arm and get a 8 millimeter shim or spacer or washer and put it in there, and then, you know, with trial and error, see if that will solve your problem. In my case, it did work. First, I tried by removing the elephant ears, which is an option you can do. You can remove these here. They don't really need to be there, but that did not solve the problem either. So therefore, validating that the geometry in the combustion chamber happens to be the issue. So the way that the valve stem and the seats and the face of the valve seats in that geometry inside the combustion chamber, you know, makes it difficult to set your gap for your valve adjustment. So whatever the issue or design issue that is, I have no idea, but I will tell you this, if you ever experience that situation, perhaps the combustion chamber geometry inside your head, it's different than the stock head, and that's probably why you're having that problem. So one way to solve it is by using a small 8mm washer where you connect your rocker arms in the bottom of the rocker arm, and that will space that out a little bit more to help you make sure that you can adjust these to 6,000 if you have your old stock. If you are doing brand new hats, a tip or a recommendation is that you adjust them to around 7,000 and then run your engine for a couple of hundred miles, and then come back and readjust them to 6,000. So that was it for tips right now. As you can see, I still have to install my shroud, which is over there. I still have to install my generator, which is over there in that corner. This plate here is going in that shroud, and I'm waiting for a can of spray that I bought online that is going to come tinted in the original color, which is called Shantan 12DL, which is the OEM color of that 1971 Super Beetle. This here is just one of those spray cans for Rust-Oleum that I wanted to give it a try and see how that looked. I don't think it looks bad. I kind of like it, but I'm going to do a trial and error. I'm going to compare this color inside the engine case compared to the original color. And if I like it, I'll just probably just use that other can to touch up some areas in the car that I might want to retouch. But other than that, that's where we're at right now. Next, I think that I am going to try to see what other parts I have pending. I'm waiting on a tool that I bought, because I don't know where I put mine, to remove the oil breather and install a chrome breather that I have. And then I'm also ready to install these here on the these valve covers on the valve heads. Another quick tip that I'm going to mention to you, probably you've seen hundreds of videos if you're new to Volkswagens, is that one thing that you want to do is make sure, you've seen many videos where they tell you you can go ahead and reuse your push-up tubes if they are in mint conditions. Yes, you can, and they tell you you can stretch the little accordion portion of the tube to give it a tight fit. That's true, but one thing I will tell you is make sure you don't overdo it, because then if you overdo it, these push-up tubes will be pushing these heads really far out, and when it's time for you to go ahead and install them, they'll be so spaced from the engine block that you won't have enough treads right here. You won't have enough treads right here to put your nuts and push them and compress them in. So make sure if you do, which is okay to do, it's fine. It's not a problem to do that. Make sure you don't overdo it. And then other things, make sure that when you're aligning the seals here, that you sort of like twist these a little bit just to make sure that they're properly aligned. Other things that you have to be aware is when you are trying to reach from in behind here to align these here into the head sockets, that you don't mess up your rods. Just be aware of that. And the other thing that I will tell you to do, if you're new to cars like these and this is your first engine built, make sure that when you're installing these, don't go crazy about trying to torque these right away. Make sure you align these rods here in these little sockets before you do that. So that's just a quick tip. So I'm going to go ahead and continue to finish this engine. I have been focusing, and doing other stuff and not getting the parts that I need. So for now, I'm just going to go ahead and put whatever I need together, and then I'll just put up a video for you guys, with the engine mostly done. And probably I'll just do the start up of the engine and share it with you and see how it goes. So that's it for right now. I still have all the parts that I gotta add to the engine, and I'm also working on remodifying this jack stand here to make it work better for my Volkswagen engine. So that's that engine right there. Then when I'm done with that one, I gotta work on Frankenstein's engine right here, which needs a lot of TLC, as you can see, and probably a whole bunch of new engine tints. So that's it for right now. I just wanted to give you an update on Sunny's story. If you're following my story with Sunny's rebuild, you all know that Sunny is undergoing a full restoration, and I'm actually doing something ever do with a engine, which is I'm actually pimping it, giving it some TLC, some chrome pieces. Hopefully they don't affect me that much with the temperature on the car. Remember, this is an air-cooled engine, and normally all of these tins are black to dissipate the heat. But I live in a cold state, so Ohio is pretty cold, and it's right now it's pretty cold here. Can't wait for the weather to actually warm up so we can actually work here without having to wear a lot of layers. But anyway, that's it for today. Until then, this is Junior with Sunny the Super Beetle. If you like the contents of my video, if you're following me in YouTube and Sunny's story, go ahead, give me a thumbs up, like my videos, and don't forget to click in that little bell so that every time I upload a new video, you get a message and you can see what I have been doing with this engine. All right, so until then, Junior out.